This is Love Talk with Marty's the love coach, where the truth needs to touch and the heart finds hope. Love Talk with Marty's the love coach, healing in the words, growing as you grow. Love Talk.
Hey my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Love Talk with Marty's the Love Coach. This is where we have real conversations, real healing, and real love. Now, I know I missed my Wednesday episode, okay? There's a lot going on. On Wednesday, I usually open up your letters, answer your questions, and together we work through love, life, healing, and relationships. But today is Thursday. And it's August the 6th, and our children just started back school in some states, and yeah, life just has this little thing going on right now. But I want you to also know that there's not going to be a podcast tomorrow, only because I am working on something for next week, for the week after. We'll be back to regular schedule next Wednesday, next Friday. Continue to send me your letters. If you already sent me a letter, I will be touching on it next Wednesday. But today is a little different. This letter that I'm reading today is not from any of my listeners. It's from me. And I have to be honest, this may be one of the hardest episodes I've recorded, not because I don't know what to say, because I actually wrote a letter. It's just sometimes it's easier to help everyone else than to open up about myself. Today's episode isn't about dating. It isn't about marriage or breakups. It's just simply a letter from my heart to yours. And if you're listening, or if you have been listening to me for a while, I want to say thank you. If you're brand new here, welcome. I pray I say something today that reminds you that none of us are stuck being who we used to be. So, if you've been following me for a while, you know the vibes. Go grab your drinks, your coffee, your tea, whatever you have to do. Go get comfortable, and let's talk.
Love Talk. Got a journal in your hand, do the work on your own. Page by page, you ain't walking alone. From the ashes of the old, see a brand new you. Trust in the process, letting love come through. We talking boundaries, we talking grace. We talking falling for the right one in the right space. Real talk, soft heart.
All right, my loves. So if you knew me for a while, you've probably seen so many different versions of me. Some of you have known me since I was a kid. Some of you only know me from Marty's Behind This Microphone or the videos. But today, I want to introduce you to the woman I've worked so hard to become. Because the truth is, I wasn't always calm. I wasn't always patient. I was not always emotional and mature. So, there was a time where I was exactly what people would call a firecracker. Angry. If I felt disrespected, I reacted. If I was angry, you knew it. If my emotions got involved, they took over. I didn't always pause before speaking. I didn't always think before responding. And if I'm being completely honest, sometimes my emotions landed me places that my heart regretted later. I am not proud of every version of me, but I'm also not ashamed of her either. Because see, the old version of me was doing the best she knew with what she had at that time, if that makes sense. And I think that's something we all need to remember. Sometimes we judge people by a chapter they've already outgrown. We meet someone in chapter 2, then refuse to believe they changed by chapter 10. That's insane. But real growth changes people. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not with a motivational quote, not because life suddenly became easy. Growth happens through hard conversations. Growth happens through heartbreak, disappointment, healing, self-reflection. and accountability, and making the difficult decisions to become someone better than I was or you were yesterday. Healing will humble you. I promise. Healing will humble you. It will make you sit with parts of yourself you spent years trying to avoid. It will force you to ask questions like, why do I react that way? Why do I keep repeating this pattern? Why am I holding on to anger that isn't serving me anymore? Those questions changed my life. They changed the way I think. Because somewhere along the way, I stopped asking who hurt me and started asking, who do I want to become? And that one question changed everything. A different Martise. Today, I am a different woman. Not because I'm perfect, trust me. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I am still healing. But today, I am more intentional with my words. I'm more proactive with my peace. I'm quicker to listen than to react. I've learned that not every disagreement deserves my energy, and I'm still being tested. Not every opinion deserves my response, and not every battle deserves my participation. Fight that alone. I've grown as a woman. I've grown as a mother. I've grown as a daughter, a sister, cousin, aunt, friend, wife, queen, and I've definitely grown as a business owner. Because when it comes to my business, this is not a hobby for me. This is my purpose. This is my ministry. This is the work that I feel like God placed on my heart. I don't play with it. I don't entertain unnecessary drama. I don't surround myself with people who thrive on being negative. I've worked too hard to protect the peace that I fought to find. So today, I intentionally surround myself with people who encourage growth. People who celebrate healing, people who hold me accountable, people who want to see others win, because I finally realized something. Not everybody deserves access to the version of you that works so hard to heal. Sometimes protecting your peace means protecting your circle. So I'm going to pause my letter for just a second because I need you to hear this. Please don't let people convince you that because you've changed, you're fake. No, absolutely not. You're growing. There's a difference. The version of you that survived the hardest season doesn't have to be the version of you that lives in your healthiest season. Please hear that. Growth is not betrayal. Growth is evidence that you've learned. And I hope every single person listening gives themselves permission to evolve. Because healing should change you. If it doesn't, are you really healing? Are you really healed? As I continue my letter, there's something else I need to say. Growth isn't always visible. See, people see the finished version of me. They don't see the battles that I had to fight, the nights I had to cry, the days I had to shut myself in my room. They don't always see the work behind it. They don't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the prayers you prayed. They don't see the apologies you made. They don't see the boundaries you had to create. They don't see the people you had to walk away from. They don't see the moments where you had to admit, I had to admit that I was wrong. Accountability is one of the hardest forms of healing. See, accountability requires you to stop blaming everybody else. And it requires you to take an honest look at yourself, and that's exactly what I had to do. There came a point in my life where I stopped asking, what does this mean? Why does this keep happening to me? And then I start asking, what do I need to change about myself? And that was not an easy question to answer. Because the answer wasn't always somebody else's. Sometimes the answer was, it's me. It's not somebody else. Sometimes my reaction needed to change. Sometimes my communication needed to change. Sometimes my attitude, oh, a lot of times, my attitude needed to change. Sometimes I needed to stop allowing my emotions to control my actions. That wasn't weakness, that was growth. Now, if I'm being honest, sometimes I look back at who I was 2 or 3 years ago and I barely recognize her. Not because I hate her, but because God has done so much work in me. That woman who used to react first, that woman who used to get so angry, now that woman, I I pray first. I used to want the last word, but now I value peace more than proving a point. I used to think being loud meant being that I was strong, but now I've learned that sometimes strength is just walking away. Sometimes strength is saying nothing. Sometimes strength is protecting your peace. And I'm gonna be honest, peace is expensive. Peace costs you arguments, it costs you certain friendships, it costs you certain relationships, it costs you the need to always be understood, but I promise you, it's worth every single thing it costs. Now, I want to say something that's been on my heart, and maybe someone listening still remembers the older version of me, and that's okay. Maybe you remember Marty who reacted quickly, the Martise who wore her emotions on her sleeve, or the Martise who always needed to be right, or the Martise who wasn't the best version of herself. And if that's the version of me you remember, I understand, I get it, because that version of me existed. I will never pretend like it didn't. Like, I would never pretend like where I am now took time and healing. But I also hope you understand that people grow, people mature, people heal, people can become better. And I am living proof of that. I don't expect everyone to know the woman I am today. But I hope that when people interact with me now, they experience someone who leads with kindness, someone who listens before responding, someone who chooses to be professional, someone who genuinely wants to help people heal. Because that's who I work so hard to become every single day. One thing I never, ever want anyone to question is my heart behind my business. Being Martise the Love Coach isn't something I didn't turn it on like it was a record or a song or a TV channel or, no, this is something I strive to be every single day. People trust me. And when people trust me with their stories, their letters, their marriages, their heartbreaks, their fears, I consider that to be the biggest honor, and I don't take it lightly. That's why I protect this business with everything I have. I choose professionalism, I choose integrity, I choose kindness, I choose growth. And I choose to surround myself with people who pour into peace instead of drama. Because negativity has a way of stealing your purpose if you let it. And so I made a decision. I refuse to let anything that even feels negative, rent any space in my life for free or at all. And so some of you are afraid to grow because you're worried that people want to accept the new version of you. But let me encourage you to grow anyway. Some people will only remember who you were. Others will celebrate who you're becoming. And that's a win. The thing is, you can't control either one, but you can control whether you're becoming better for you. Don't stay stuck to make people comfortable with the old version of you. That's like saying, I want to grow, I want to build my business, but I still want to go and do the things I used to do 5 years ago when I could have been locked up. Or 3 years ago where I could have been dead. So again, don't stay stuck trying to make people comfortable with the old version of you. Your healing isn't for their approval. It's for your freedom. And that's a lesson I had to learn for myself. All right, so there's just one more part of this letter I want to share with you. And it's probably the most important part for me. And so as I keep looking at this letter that I wrote, I keep thinking about something like, what if I never changed? What if I stayed angry? What if I stayed reactive or bitter? Or what if I kept allowing every disappointment to harden my heart? Honestly, I probably wouldn't be sitting behind this microphone today, because the woman I am today could never have been built by holding on to yesterday. Growth required me to let so many things go: people, habits, conversations, a version of myself. And if I'm being honest, doing that was not easy. Letting go was not always easy. Sometimes we become so comfortable with who we've become that becoming someone new feels so uncomfortable. But growth is uncomfortable. Healing is uncomfortable. Forgiveness is uncomfortable. Accountability is uncomfortable. But staying the same, that becomes even more uncomfortable as time goes. Because I reached a point in my life where I realized I didn't just want to survive anymore. I wanted to grow. So I choose peace. People ask me all the time, how do you stay so positive all the time? How are you smiling all the time? Well, the truth is, I wasn't always. I just got tired. I got tired of carrying anger. I got tired of replaying old situations. I got tired of giving people who had already hurt me free rent in my mind. Like, why? Why give anyone that much of you? So then I made the decision that I choose peace. Not because life became perfect or everybody apologized, or not because everything worked out exactly how I wanted it to, but I realized that my peace was too valuable to keep handing it over to people who didn't deserve it or didn't know how to protect it. And that decision changed my life. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have my moments. I'm human. There are days where I have to check myself. There are moments where I have to take a deep breath before responding. There are still situations where I have to remind myself, the old me would have been at your front door. The old me would have handled this differently. But here's the difference. Now I pause. Now I pray. Now I think. Now I ask myself, would this response really bring me peace or steal it? That one question alone has saved me from so many unnecessary battles. And maybe that's why I wanted to write this letter today, right? Because I know someone who may be listening that may feel stuck. Maybe you're still carrying guilt over who you used to be, or maybe you're embarrassed about your past, or maybe people are still holding your past over you. Maybe you've hurt some people, or maybe you're still reminded of the old version of yourself by people that surround you. But let me encourage you today. Don't let yesterday become a life sentence. You are allowed to become better. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to apologize. You are allowed to heal and grow. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that no longer reflects who you are becoming. Please do not spend your life trying to convince everyone that you've changed. Just do it. Keep changing, because the consistency will speak louder than any explanations ever will. So every single person that's listening today, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me into your homes, your cars, your headsets, and sometimes into the most difficult seasons of your life. Every letter you send, every message you write, your reviews, your comments on social media, it reminds me why I started this journey. not for attention, not to be famous, but because I truly believe people deserve a safe place to heal. And if I can be a small part of someone's healing journey, then every lesson I've learned was so worth it. Now, before I close, I do want to, I got to do my final thoughts. I want you to remember to please give people room to grow, including yourself. Sometimes we expect grace from others while refusing to give it to ourselves, right? Sometimes we're so busy reminding people who they used to be that we don't notice the person that they've become today. If someone is genuinely doing the work, like they're healing, they're taking the accountability, they're changing their behavior, celebrate that. Because growth should be celebrated, not questioned. And if that's you today, if that's something that you know you have been battling with, if you're doing the work, keep going. Keep growing. Keep becoming. Because the people who are meant to see you in that growth, in this good season, in this healthier version of you, they will. And the ones that don't, they'll keep growing away. And I mean that in the most nice ways possible. Let them go away. Keep growing anyway. Because your purpose isn't tied to everyone's approval. It's tied to your willingness to become who God created you to be. And I hope you hear with your heart. If you've listened this far, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be honest. Thank you for allowing me to express my feelings, especially when people only know pieces of my story, especially when I know people still see the old me. But I also know that healing requires honesty, so here's the final page of my letter. If all you ever known is the older version of me, I understand because that's who I was. But I hope one day you'll get to know the woman I worked so hard to become. I'm not perfect. No, I'm never going to be perfect. But every single day I wake up with one goal. I wake up with the goal to be better than I was yesterday. Not better than someone else, just better than Martise was yesterday. I hope that people remember me as someone who chose kindness, even when it would have been easier to be angry. I hope you remember me as someone who chose peace, even when chaos invited itself in. I want you to remember me as someone who is professional, even when others didn't. Someone who chose healing, even when the healing was so painful. And someone who loved people enough to tell them the truth, even when the truth was uncomfortable, because that's who I want to be. That's who I'm becoming. And if tomorrow I realize that there's another area where I need to grow, then I'll grow there too. Because growth doesn't end, not at 30, not at 40, not at 50. Growth is something we choose for the rest of our lives, and it's not easy. So please, don't let your past become your permanent address. Visit it if you need to learn from it, but don't unpack your bags and live there. Because your future deserves a healthier version of you. And hear me when I say this. There's no shame in going to therapy. There's no shame in apologizing. There's no shame in admitting when you're wrong. There's no shame in protecting your peace. There is no shame in walking away from people who only bring out the worst in you. I think sometimes people expect us to stay exactly the same, but that is impossible. Life changes, loss changes, love changes us. Motherhood, marriage, friendship, heartbreak, healing changes us. So don't apologize for becoming wiser. Don't apologize for setting boundaries. Don't apologize because you become more intentional with your life. Growth is supposed to look different. My hope isn't that you leave this episode thinking, wow, Martise has changed. No. My hope is that you leave asking yourself, Who am I becoming? Because that question changed my life. It wasn't a question of who hurt me or who owed me an apology or why did this happen or no. The question is, who do I want to become because of it? That question will change your relationships, your friendships, your parenting, your faith, your entire life. So this week, I challenge you. I don't want you to think about anyone else. I want you to write a letter, not to your ex, not to your spouse, not to your parents, but to yourself. Tell yourself who you used to be. Tell yourself who you are today. And ask yourself, who are you becoming? Be honest. Celebrate your growth. Own your mistakes. Forgive yourself where you need to. And when you're finished, read it out loud because sometimes we need to hear our own healings. So let's get into some affirmations. Repeat after me. I'm allowed to grow. I am not defined by my worst moments. I choose peace over proving a point. I release the version of myself that no longer serves me. And I forgive myself for things that I didn't know then. All right, my loves, thank you so much for growing with me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. And I promise, as long as you keep showing up, I'll keep showing up. Not as someone who's perfect, but as someone who's committed to learning, growing, healing, and loving people. All right, if you have been listening and enjoying my conversations here on Love Talk with Martisa Love Coach, there are a few other ways you can continue to share this journey together. If you're looking to strengthen your relationship or create meaningful conversations, check out my card game, Slow Burn, or my journal, The Love Between Us. It's a couples journal. And that's for couples. And if you want to have some fun, you want to laugh, you want to sip, I have Sip and Spill for friends and family. They're available on my website, martisethelovecoach.com. And if you're on your healer journey, do not forget to explore my self-guided journals. I have teen journals. I have Back to Me. It's created to help you reflect, grow, and continue becoming the best version of yourself. Also, remember that my love list is still a thing. If you want that weekly encouragement, relationship tips, updates, join my love list. It's free. Go to my website, martisethelovecoach.com. Oh, also, if you know someone who's getting married or know someone who's planning a wedding in the future, a year from now, I'd be honored to be a part of that special day as I am a wedding officiant. I am a notary. I am a love coach, life coach, relationship coach. I am Martise. I would love to be a part of that I do unforgettable moment. Until next time, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for growing with me and for allowing me to be a part of your journey. Now, keep choosing love, keep choosing growth, keep choosing love, and never forget that a healthy love starts with a healthy you. I'm Martisa Love Coach. I love you so much.
Love Talk with Martise, the Love Coach, where the truth meets the touch and the heart finds hope. Love Talk with Martise, the Love Coach, healing in the words, growing as you grow. Yeah, yeah. Love Talk. Press play, breathe in. Let the wisdom settle in where you've been. Every scar teacher, every tear a guide. Real love start the moment you stop trying to hide. Love Talk, tune in, fall in, rise up. Yeah, this love. Yeah, this is love.